Folks! Ooh, good acoustics in this room. Good sound. My name is Rudy, and you're watching Alpha Investments. I want to follow up and piggyback on a conversation today regarding the reserve list, Magic the Gathering, modern day Magic collector boxes, the spillover of Pokemon into Magic, and of course, serialized cards, the pseudo modern day version of a reserve list. So I want to go into that conversation a little deeper. A lot of you all have been asking me things. I decided to just do a quick filming here. That's why I keep my high-end card shop chair at all my different locations, so I can just kind of film whenever I'm in the mood for it. And I had to show you all, we picked up this absolutely epic painting from Italy. Just came in through a giant Indiana Jones crate. It was, well, international shipping in an Indiana Jones crate from Italy with the tariffs was not friendly. Usually antiques that are over 100 years old usually are exempt from tariffs, but apparently that was one of the law changes, so I had to pay thousands of dollars in tariffs on the painting. Anyways, very cool Italian painting. This was exhibited there at a gallery in Italy for a couple years, and it is now officially in Florida man possession. But anyways, moving forward, that is in red, that's Alexander the Great, and he's painting his favorite mistress. Canatino is her name? I can't remember her exact name. And the problem was the painter who was painting Alexander the Great's favorite mistress became obsessed with her, painting her nude, and they end up becoming lovers, and Alexander the Great is really pissed off by it. Really cool, complicated history and story. Moving on to modern day cardboard. I still believe, I'm not 100% here yet, but ladies and gentlemen, I do believe, and I am coming to terms that the reserve list, how do I want to say this let's just say it. I am coming to terms that serialized cards in new collector boxes are essentially a modern day reserve list. There's no way to say it, there's no way to admit it, there's no way to really go into it. But as I progress further and become older on this third rock from the sun planet, I'm realizing that you guys, I always end up in conversations with you all and patrons saying, "Yo, Rudy, serialized cards, new collector boxes. I mean, aren't they? I mean, a serialized card is a specific numbered card that can't be reprinted. How is that not an expansion to the reserve list?" I always end up bumping into these conversations with a lot of you guys online. And I'm like, you know what? You can argue both ways, but at the end of the day, the definition of the reserve list are cards that cannot be identically reprinted, but the reserve list states functionally, whether or not this holds true today, who knows, but the identical card and the functionality of the card cannot be reprinted. How is that not the same thing as a serialized card that prints exact versions and that's it? Right? Shocklands. Look at Shocklands right now, right? So we're about to have a reprint of Shocklands, and Shocks are going back into standard, right? With Edge of Eternities. Okay? So people are confusing, and I had some patrons say, "Rudy, well then, how is Ravnica Remastered Collector Boxes all-time high and skyrocketing at $500, $600, $700 a collector box when the most expensive cards are serialized Shocklands? They're just Shocklands. They're reprinting them again." Rudy, why are Unfinity collector boxes going to an all-time high when they're reprinting the Shocklands, which is the only thing worth a lot in Unfinity? So in Ravnica, that's an easier answer. They're serialized. The serialized Shocklands in Ravnica for the longest time. Remember, this set came out at the beginning of 2024, so about a year and a half ago. Serialized Shocklands at the release of Ravnica were insanely cheap. I have a couple of them that were in collection buys from a year ago. And no joke, at the time, a serialized like Shockland from Ravnica, Breeding Pool, God, what are all the names of the Shocklands? Why do I just remember Breeding Pool? Breeding Pool, The Forge, Steam Vents. Anyways, they were like $200. Like a buy list was like $125 for serialized Shocklands. And if you guys aren't aware, serialized Shocklands from Ravnica, I don't even think you can get them for under $1,000. Most online are $1,000 to $3,000. God help you if you find like a number 1 or something, or a number 69, or number 7, or the last one, and it's like a $5,000-$10,000 card. And then it makes you say, well, geez, I guess Ravnica Remastered Collector should have never been $230 or $220. No wonder they're $500, $600, $700. So now we go to Infinity. Infinity Shocklands, Galaxy Shocks, don't have serialization. But at the same time, they're not as expensive. I've said for the longest time, Ravnica Remastered Collectors, all these things, Fallout, Lord of the Rings, Final Fantasy, Doctor Who, even Assassin's Creed, no matter what your opinion is, I stand by what I've said, that all these things are going to be $500 to $1,000 plus collector boxes. And as the market continues to accept and embrace serialization, I'm telling you guys right now, I dread the day that Pokemon's like, you know what? We're going to try our first serialized Pokemon card. Oh my God. Like, the next Pokemon crash bear market, all Pokemon has to do to bring an end to the bear market is just be like, boop, serialized Pokemon. Oh my God. I don't even want to think about the impact on Pokemon. Please don't take my advice. Well, nobody watches this channel. So, I'm looking at this and I'm saying, serialized cards, well, it doesn't have a perfect puzzle piece fit, and it doesn't have a perfect symmetry to the reserve list. In reality, I am coming to terms that serialized cards are essentially the young generation in the new people, in younger people's version of the reserve list. I think this is really more factual than we all want to admit. I was not a huge fan of serialized cards when it was announced, but I liked the idea of them because I knew it would help the bear market in Magic in 2022, 2023. I knew that would help pull us out of the bear market, so I liked that aspect. But I did not like the idea of investing or collecting in serialized cards at the very beginning because, well, I know Wizards. Once they started, as you know, we have serialized cards almost in every set. Now, Edge of Eternities, it looks like they're skipping serialized cards, which makes sense because they've had serialized cards in every set. The big serialized Chocobo Final Fantasy, you skip serialized cards in Edge of Eternities, and then you go back hard, you go deep with Spider-Man Marvel serialization and Avatar serialization, and then maybe you skip Lorwyn or something. So it makes sense to me. I get it. I'm not surprised to hear that. And it's creating new kind of, I don't say arguments, but it's creating new conversation of people saying, well, Rudy, I don't think I should buy Edge of Eternity's collectors because there's no serialized cards. Well, hang on there, Penelope. All right, put your dress back on, princess, because lack of serialization does not mean a collector box is not going to skyrocket to $500 to $1,000. I mean, Wild's Veldraine, Lost Caverns of Ixalan, okay? Those are great examples of collector boxes in the overprinting era that are $500, $600 a collector box already with no serialization. Outlaws Thunder Junction? Well, Rudy, that one sucks. I've said it for a while. Outlaws of Thunder Junction online for $210, $220 right now is something you all should be buying from local LGSs around the US. It's a screaming opportunity. No, I don't have any for sale. I stand by that. Same thing with Assassin's Creed, all these things. When you look at a lot of these products, I'm telling you, the market is in a discovery phase of understanding the value of these items. And many, many times, things go out of favor. Right now, nobody wants to buy old museum and historical pieces of art and, they're all fake and they're all worthless and they're all down. Well, again, if I can buy something that used to be $100,000 and you're going to sell it to me for $10,000, $15,000 in the painting world and it has provenance and it came from a museum or Christie's or Sotheby's, you're going to get my attention. If I like the art and the story, I'm probably going to buy it. In the card world, it's the same thing. As sometimes the markets, just because the trend is not your friend, eventually there will be an end and things will pivot. We saw it with Pokemon. I'm front and center, the Pokemon bathroom, the Scarlet Violet. We go through eras where markets go through a discovery and a repricing and they go, oh shit, wait a minute. I don't know if Pokemon boxes should have ever been $79, $89, $99. I don't think they should have ever been that cheap. It's not that a lot of these things have skyrocketed, it's that a lot of them were mispriced in the other direction, so it feels more intense than what it is. So now when I'm looking at the serialization situation, I am slowly accepting that we are expanding the reserve list. It's in a way that's not being presented the same. It doesn't feel the same, but in reality, it is. Because there's not going to be more 77 golden chocobos printed. There's 77. I mean, China's going to print a bunch of knockoffs, but there are 77. There's not going to be any more of them. So technically, isn't that the definition of being reserved and protected and exclusivity and specialty, or, all these terms? I mean, that, reserve list thing and that whole thing, sure, it was created because of Chronicles and a collapse of Magic and overprinting in the mid-90s, around 1995, 96 range. But, due to, fallen empires, Chronicles reprinting all the black border cards, the white border, and causing a nuclear amount of damage to the stores and inventories and card stores and collectors, and Magic decided to go hardcore balls deep, and they fixed it. And 30 years later, many employees at Wizards and Richard Garfield, a lot of people say they don't like it. They say they don't know what it is. What's that? Richard Garfield, I don't know what any of this is. They're gonna play stupid. They're gonna act like they don't know what's going on, and they're not gonna get involved. But these things are in place, whether you like them or not. They've worked, because otherwise we wouldn't be sitting here 30 years later with Magic the Gathering, and it wouldn't be a multi-billion-dollar operation that everybody fights for. And no matter what anyone thinks about the future and digital, you own nothing, you'll be happy. Whatever happened to all this stuff? Wasn't that supposed to be a big thing? Weren't we all supposed to live in beep boop boop, metaverse and AI with NFTs? Didn't all that shit go to zero? Did anybody buy NFTs? Well, nobody's going to admit it anyways. That stuff was weird. I'm too stupid to understand that stuff. And, I look back at this stuff, and I guess it's like a Schrodinger's cat situation. If we accept and understand that, let's present two things. Number one, serialized cards are going to be in every set in the future, almost every set, and no one's going to care. They're a short-term, flashy thing to sell product. That's great. And long-term, they're not investable because they don't hold value. They're flat. They don't grow. They don't have growth, anything. If that's the negative, that's the bear case. So let's accept for a second the bull case. So let's accept something here, okay? Let's pretend this is legit. So let's pretend moving forward, serialized cards are the new version of the reserve list. We don't call it the reserve list. We call it serialization. Specific quantities, specific print runs, specific information. We know how many are out there. So then we have to look at situations. Okay? March the Machine, has multiverse serialization. Karlov Manor, Fallout, Lord of the Rings, Ravnica Remastered, The Shocks, the very first set of all time, Brothers War, Schematics. Kind of ironic, the first serialized cards were all blueprints, right? Schematics, kind of funny, right? Look at that. Okay, the Doctor Who. What about Assassin's Creed? When we look at some of then the new sets, Edgar Markov, only one serialized card? So there's only 500 serialized cards in one set? What about Aether Drift? Only one card is serialized. There are 500 chase cards of a single card. The entire set has 500 chase cards, one reserve list card. If we accept that hypothesis, theory, whatever we want to do, how do you value it? Because you're never going to be able to. It's a gambler's fallacy. It's impossible to collect and complete a whole series. Can you imagine if somebody contacted me and said, Rudy, I have all 500 copies of a serialized card? I would freak out, and yeah, I'd probably pay big money for it, because you own an entire market and you can set any price because you literally own the 100% print run. But the thing is, what if somebody comes along and eventually someone realizes that some of these cards, even if you own 1%, 5%, 10, 20%, if we assume 10, 20, 30% of these cards are never located in the world, okay, well, if there are 500 serialized cards of most modern Magic sets, right? We're getting some bad weather outside. Sorry, everybody. It's looking dark. If we assume there's 500 copies, and we assume only 50 to 75% of all of them are going to be found and they're still in existence, because some are going to be lost in the mail, trust me. Some are going to be destroyed. Some kid's going to open it at Walmart with his mom, throw it away. There are going to be copies that are lost. Natural life attrition. Every year that goes by, everybody's mailing things, moving things, damage, natural disasters, wars around the world, crazy things happen. You're going to have natural organic attrition. So if we assume that only 50, 75% is even achievable, even on the high printed ones of 500 copies, that's essentially saying around 300 is the real quantity to even try to acquire, to own a market of something. But when you look online, pick any serialized card. 300 copy? What are you talking about? Every serialized card in existence, you're lucky to find 5 copies of something on the open market. They fucking don't exist. Like, where are they? It's a crazy, weird thing that doesn't make sense. So that leads to the final point of my thesis. If this is the reality moving forward, there is a lot of untapped potential, and there's a lot of discovery, mispriced, and not understood value of these cards. And I mean a lot. We don't fully understand how crazy it could be. Okay? I mean, think about this. Think about it. Some of these cards, I mean, how hard would it be to buy like 20 or 30 copies of a card that's out of 500? Then you own 6% of the print run? Just like that? Okay, well, if we assume only 250 to 300 are even locatable, now you're talking owning 10, 15% of a print run just like that. Then if you adjust, the sealed product is never opened and hoarded in basements in Florida and different things. I mean, when you adjust these numbers, it gets weirder and weirder and more difficult to understand the value of this stuff. Think about the example. Let's pretend the Lord of the Rings, I know the IP, the art, the posters, the Hildebrand, the artist, the power level. But let's scoop all that out for a second. But think about something here. The market eventually realized how expensive the poster cards and serialized cards were. It didn't start that way. But eventually the market woke up and was like, oh my God, we're being stupid Timmies. And if you have cards out of 100, and we apply the same analogy of a percentage of loss attrition, and that means we're talking a potential of 50 to 75 cards. Out of 77 chocobos, we're talking a potential, honestly, the reality of probably between 40 and 50 chocobos will be found. So when you look around and you stare at the clouds and you yell at cards that drive by and you dig a hole and you become a carrot and you think about all these things, right when people realize how expensive the Lord of the Rings posters and serialized cards are, that's what led to the entire repricing and shakeup of the market for Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings holiday boxes didn't just wake up and say, oh, you know what? These $200-$300 boxes, let's make them 500. Let's make them 800. Let's make them 1,000. That's not what happened to Lord of the Rings. The single cards, the poster cards, the power levels, the Nazi Gs, the Orcish Bowmasters, all the chase cards, not to mention surge foils, specialty lands, insane amounts of power. But besides that, what led to the boxes skyrocketing were the serialized cards going to the moon. And of course, the piggyback of all the surge foils, uncommon, common, rares, surges, all these slots, commander chain, all these other cards skyrocketed. Because of that, the box went to the moon. Because of that, it sparked the greatest bull market in history, and it became the most appreciating, best modern day collectible investment of a sealed magic box in history. You're talking a $250 box to $2,000. That's a 9x. Is that a 900 to 1,000, 900% return for very small people out there in like 18 months? Actually, not even, is it 18 months? Let's just say 18 months. That's insane. That is not normal. Things aren't supposed to do that. That's what happened. So that brings me back to the end of this video. I want everyone to understand today, I'm not going to I'm not going to pitch you guys on Rudy's Patreon, you should. I'm not going to pitch you guys on my $100 Edge of Eternity boxes or $600 cases. And I'm not going to pitch you guys to stop wasting your money with everyone else. You should be a part of the creepy Rudy empire. I'm not pitching you guys on all that. Why are you guys buying Bloomborough on TCG Player and paying $140 shipped when I'm selling for $118? A lot of you guys just don't like money. I can't help you, and a lot of you guys just think I'm like some evil person, which I am, but only when you're not home and your stepsister makes waffle fries. But this is a video I want people to think and understand. I want people to step back and say, okay, clearly the bull market in Magic has changed. Wizards has overhauled things. We are seeing these strong, crazy markets across the board. I mean, we see it with Weiss. What do we got? Azure Lane coming in the future. We got the final wave of the Nikki boxes. And yes, it's pronounced Nikki. Don't say it the right way. And of course, we got Flesh and Blood insane. We got Pokemon insane. We got Magic insane. We got One Piece insane. I mean, it's a bull market. But there are certain subsets within that are very fascinating to me. In Magic, I've been monitoring and watching a lot more serialized cards in the last few months in these new sets and everything, because it makes me just question, if a Ravnica Remastered, which is the smallest print run and the easiest set ever to pull serialized cards, like you open 6 collector boxes of Ravnica, you get 1 to 2 serialized cards. I remember I sold a patron a master case of 24 Ravnica collectors. The dude got like 5 serialized cards and 1 master case of 24. Because, again, the history, bear market, which was pissed, print run reduction, the serialized cards was a certain amount, and of course, because of that, it condenses it and they're pulled easier, blah, blah, blah. So, and I'm looking at this stuff, and I'm like, look at the Final Fantasy thing. I think Final Fantasy stabilizing at $1,200 for a collector box is the correct price for short term. It's not tanking. It's not it's finally found an equilibrium around $1,200, or maybe $1,300 with tax. And you look at it and you say, okay, but should Karlov Manor collector boxes be only $200? With super impossible chase cards? Should Fallout? What about Doctor Who? But all the doctors suck? They're crappy, right? We don't know. This video is to make you all think and step back and say, if the thesis comes true, and we'll know in the next 2 years, we'll have enough data. We're going to know. We're going to know, everybody. And if the data comes true in serialization into this future so that there's proof of quantity, there's proof of print run, and there's proof that they can't reprint, all these proofs, all these facts, we are in for some very expensive, turbulent times. And of course, factor in, government spending, Trump passing the big, beautiful bill, which is massive amounts of spending and stimulus for the United States economy at the expense of printing money and more debt, and of course, diluting the US dollar. And remember, everything we talk about on this channel is priced in US dollars. So many times, just remember everybody, prices don't always go up. Sometimes they stay the same, but the value that we use to price it, the currency dissolves, making it look like it takes more to acquire that, also known as purchasing power. So we run into these weird things because I'm starting to accept that there's going to be a reality that we're going to have a lot of these collector boxes, and they're all going to be $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a box. And it's going to be a weird thing for people to get older and be like, wait a minute, I thought that was trash. I thought that collector box was like garbage at like $200 or $150 or wait, how is that $1,000? Wait, that's $2,000? Wait, Final Fantasy's $3,000? Wait, Lord of the Rings is a $4,000 box? What is it, like $500 a booster pack? Like, things that seem outrageous have a funny way of coming true, but then it takes like 6 to 12 months for the mind to recalibrate what is an acceptable price or not. Now, most people just get angry and emotional, and they will never accept or adjust, but I'm talking about actual business people and people who are collectors and evil investors, and not Game Piece Army who's just like, wow, that's over 25 cents. Get on the internet and yell at something. Well, they don't really mean anything anyways. They don't spend any money. They're not part of the ecosystem. They just want to be heard, and they want attention. So, you just gotta, great job, guys. You guys are doing good. But for the rest of the people who really are looking at this stuff and like to play Monopoly in real life. I think we are definitely on the verge of seeing what happens with Magic in the coming 12 months. Right now, the panic continues about Edge of Eternity collector boxes being canceled everywhere. Even stores are begging for Edge of Eternity play boxes. Even the Commander decks. And we don't even have all the spoiler of the set. And now there's just, the print runs low. Wizards thought it was going to be bad because that's what you all said. Because everybody said that, Wizards said, well, fuck, I don't want to overprint it. Let's put the printers on the Final Fantasy and other reprints we know will sell and cut Edge of Eternity's back. And now it's already in panic mode, and, well, the set looks pretty fucking cool. There's spaceships in it. And now I'm hearing rumors about other things. With Universes Beyond going into next year, I'm hearing rumors about all kinds of space stuff, from Star Wars to Star Trek, and all kinds of different deep space this and that, and I'm like, oh my god, and next year there's a Universes Beyond. And there's a Universes Beyond, like fucking Star Trek and other space stuff. Oh my god. People are going to lose their damn mind. And that's what I'm saying. The runway and the R&D for Wizards of the Coast right now in Hasbro. Again, large shareholder in Hasbro. The design space and the direction they're going is just absolute fire. It's expensive as shit. They jack the prices up and people can't get enough. Everything's backed up in the queue of the printer. And that's the world we're in. And I know there's going to be some of you all, oh, cardboard goes to zero. Don't touch it. Any day, the great crash is coming. I'm going to be in my bunker. Everybody stay in cash. No, I'm sorry. They convert your cash to gold bricks. Everybody hide. And yeah, gold's probably going to keep going up. So it's probably not a bad idea. But the world's not ending, folks. Think for yourself. Be very careful. Taking outside influence on the internet and social media. And just make sure we make this type of video is just to kind of help you all think and research. Go on TCG Player, go on eBay, check prices, look at collector boxes, look at even draft and play boxes. Just keep an eye on what's going on. I think that's the important thing in this video. The other important thing in this video, if your girlfriend or wife is really hot, don't send her to the painter to paint her naked, because then the guy who's painting the painting could start sleeping with your girlfriend. Even Alexander the Great fell for that shit.